After school, Nia walked to the city library the way she always did, with her backpack bouncing lightly and her head full of quiet plans. The late sun made long lines on the sidewalk. She counted them as she stepped. 1, 2, 3, the way she counted in her head when math felt like music. The library was her favorite place because it was soft and calm, like a deep breath. It smelled like old paper and pencil shavings. It sounded like pages turning and shoes moving gently on the carpet. Inside, she waved to the librarian, who always smiled back and pointed to the corner table near the window. That was Nia's spot, close to the light, close to the power outlet, close to the shelf of math books she liked to borrow again and again. She sat down, opened her notebook, and pulled out a handful of coins she kept in a small pouch, pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. Coins were her helpers. When numbers looked scary to other kids, coins made them friendly. She arranged them on the table like tiny soldiers in rows. Then she took a sheet of paper and drew circles that she could cut later, the kind she turned into pizza slices for, fraction lessons. She did this even when she was alone because it made her feel ready for anything. Today, she thought, she would review ratios and maybe read a chapter on triangles. She had a habit of whispering the steps to herself, like a teacher practicing before class. Whole parts, equal pieces, she murmured softly, tapping the circle with her pencil. Across the room, a girl with light brown hair sat alone at another table, her face tight with worry. She was maybe a year or two younger than Nia. A work packet lay open in front of her. The girl pressed her lips together and rubbed her forehead, then checked her phone and sighed. She wrote something, erased it, wrote again, and erased again. The eraser left a gray smudge on the paper, as if the problem was not just numbers, but also the feeling of not understanding. Nia recognized that look. She had seen it on the faces of kids she helped at school. It was a brave look, the kind you have when you try and the answer keeps slipping away. A few minutes passed. The girl glanced toward the door as though waiting for someone. When no one came, she picked up the packet and walked to the front desk. Nia heard the girl speak softly to the librarian. Is there a study room open? My tutor canceled." The librarian shook her head kindly. "I'm sorry. All study rooms are booked today. You're welcome to use any open table, dear." The girl returned to her seat and sat down with a small thump, the kind of sound people make when they feel a little hopeless. Nia waited. She told herself to focus on her own work, but her heart tugged at her. She had learned something important from her mother. If you have a skill that can help someone, and you have time, you share it. Finally, Nia stood up, gently gathered her coins and paper circles, and walked over. "Hi," she said with a careful smile. "I'm Nia. If you want, I can sit with you a few minutes. I'm pretty good with fractions." The girl looked up, surprised but not unfriendly. "I'm Clara," she said. "I'm supposed to be doing fractions for class. I just don't see it. It feels like a puzzle with missing pieces." She laughed nervously, like she was embarrassed to ask a stranger for help. Nia pulled out the chair and sat in the most respectful way she could, leaving space so Clara would feel comfortable. "Okay," Nia said. "Let's find the pieces." She poured the coins onto the table. They made a soft, clinking sound that felt warm and real. "This is $1, she said, placing 4 quarters in a row. "A whole, 100 cents. When we talk about fractions, we are talking about how a whole can be split into equal parts." Clara leaned in, curious, despite herself. Nia held up a quarter. "If $1 is a whole, a quarter is 1/4. 4 equal parts make the whole." She lined up 4 quarters again and touched each one with her finger. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, see? 4/4 is 1 whole. Clara nodded slowly. She had seen that before, she thought. But the way Nia said it made it feel simple. Then Nia spread out 2 quarters, 1 dime, and a nickel. Now, what if you have half a dollar? That's 2/4. Half is 2/4. It's the same as 1/2. She wrote 2/4 on Clara's paper in neat, careful handwriting. We can make equal pieces in different ways, but the idea does not change. Clara's shoulders lowered a little, as if a heavy backpack had been set down. I think I get that part, she said. But when the numbers get bigger, I'm lost. Nia smiled, then pulled the paper circles from her bag. Let's use pizza. She drew a perfect circle with a cup, then divided it with straight lines. Imagine a pizza cut into 8 slices, she said, turning the circle so the light caught it. If you eat 3 slices, that's 3 out of 8, 3/8. If your friend eats one more slice, how much did you eat together? Clara brightened. 4/8, she answered and then paused. Which is 1/2? Nia nodded. Yes, you're doing it. They worked through the packet. Nia kept her voice calm and steady. She asked Clara to explain answers in her own words, even if it took time. When Clara stumbled, Nia did not rush. She simply turned the circle again or rearranged the coins until the right picture appeared. After a while, the numbers on the page looked less like a wall and more like a path. Clara even smiled when she found an error and fixed it herself. I feel silly, Clara said, almost laughing. It's easier with these coins and circles. Nia shook her head. Not silly, she said. Smart. You use tools. That's what smart looks like. They took a short break and looked out. The window. The sky had turned soft and orange. Streetlights were waking up one by one. Clara told Nia she liked drawing and had a cat named Muffin who slept in plant pots. Nia told Clara she liked coding on the old computers at the library and dreamed of starting a small weekend study group for kids who needed extra help. I don't know how, Nia said, but I think it could be good. Clara's eyes shone. I would come, she said with sudden excitement. Even if I didn't need help, I would come to help. You explain things in a way that makes me feel calm. They turned back to the worksheet. The final section had word problems. Nia showed Clara how to circle the parts that mattered, how to turn words into numbers and numbers into steps. Read it like a story, Nia said. Who is in this story? What do they have? What do they need? When you find the story, the math is easier. Clara read a problem about sharing ribbon for a school project and solved it with a clear line of thought. 1 3/4 yards, she said, checking her work. I think this is right. Nia nodded again. Yes, you did it. As they packed up, Clara's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and then looked toward the library doors. My dad is here, she said, almost in a whisper. He's picking me up today. Nia smiled and stood up, ready to say goodbye. She felt a small, proud warmth inside her chest. Helping someone felt like putting a light in a dark window. It was simple, and it mattered. They walked together toward the front. Clara's steps were lighter than before. A tall man in a dark suit stood just inside the entrance, scanning the room. He had kind eyes that looked tired, as if his day had been full of decisions. When he saw Clara, his face softened. He took a few steps forward, then paused when he noticed Nia beside her, holding a notebook and a small pouch of coins. Hi, Dad, Clara said, sounding more cheerful than she had all afternoon. This is Nia. She helped me with fractions. My tutor canceled, but it turned out okay. Clara lifted her packet proudly. Look what I finished. The man smiled at his daughter first, then turned to Nia with polite gratitude. Thank you, he said in a smooth voice. I'm Raymond. He reached out a hand. Nia shook it carefully. She recognized his name. People talked about him sometimes. He was the owner of several companies and helped build big buildings downtown. Nia did not say any of that. She just said, Nice to meet you, and tucked a coin back into her pouch so it would not fall. Raymond looked from the coins to the paper circles, then back at Clara's finished work. He seemed surprised, not in a bad way, but as if he had walked into a room and found a small, bright scene he did not expect. "Coins," he said, a little amused. "That's a clever way." Clara nodded eagerly. "Nia showed me how the whole is the big picture and the pieces are just pieces. I think I understand now." She glanced up at him, waiting for his reaction. He put a hand on Clara's shoulder and gave it a gentle squeeze. "I can see that," he said. "Well done." There was a tiny pause, the kind that holds unspoken thoughts. Raymond looked at Nia again, curious. He opened his mouth as if to ask a question, but then closed it, as if deciding to wait. "Thank you for your help today," he said instead. "It means a lot to see Clara feeling confident." Nia smiled. "She did the work," she said. "I just showed a picture." For a moment, the three of them stood there in the soft library light. The busy father, the relieved daughter, and the girl who loved numbers and simple tools. Clara turned to Nia suddenly. "Can we meet again?" she asked. "At the library, same time? I want to practice for my quiz next week." Nia looked at Raymond to be sure that was okay. He had a thoughtful look now, like a person remembering a road he took when he was young. He nodded slowly. "If it works for both of you," he said, "and if the library allows it." The librarian at the desk lifted her hand with a kind wave, as if to say the library welcomed any quiet, good work. Nia checked her schedule in her head. She had chores at HP. The next afternoon, Nia reached the library early. She liked the quiet right before the after-school rush, when the big windows still held the last warm light of the day. She set her backpack on the corner table and took out her small pouch of coins, her notebook, and a fresh set of paper circles she had cut that morning. Today, she had written a new list in her notebook. Fractions to decimals, dividing a whole, word stories. She tapped the pencil against the list and smiled. It felt good to be ready. Clara arrived a few minutes later, walking fast, but smiling. This time, she waved to Nia as if they had been friends for years, not one day. "I told my teacher I finally understand fractions," she said in a low voice, excited and careful not to disturb anyone. She said, "Great, keep going." Clara set down her packet and pulled out her pencil. "Can we try decimals today? They look scary." Nia nodded. "We will make them friendly," she said. She lined up 10 dimes. $1 is a whole. 10 dimes is 10 parts. Each dime is 1/10. Watch how we move the point. She drew a number line and used a string as a guide so the marks were straight. Clara followed each step, her eyes bright. For the next hour, they moved slowly and clearly. Nia turned 0.5 into a half with 2 quarters. She changed 0.25 into 1/4. She showed how 0.10 was 1/10, like 1 dime out of $1. Each time Clara understood, she explained it back in her own words. "Half of the whole is 5 dimes, Clara said, touching the row of coins. So 0.5 means 5 out of 10 dimes. Nia nodded and wrote the idea neatly. 0.5 across 1/2. They laughed softly when they realized that decimals were just another way to tell the same story about pieces and a whole. When they took a short break, Clara told Nia she had drawn Muffin the cat with little decimal points floating like bubbles. Nia showed Clara a tiny code project on a cracked phone, a simple practice page she had built on the library computer, where you could match fractions to decimals. "It's not perfect," she said, a little shy, "but it helps me think." Clara tried it and whispered, "This is so cool." Nia felt a warm pride that was quiet and deep, not loud. At pickup time. A sleek, dark car waited at the curb. A woman in a gray suit stood near the door, checking her watch and a small tablet. She had sharp eyes, not unkind, just busy, the kind of eyes that added and planned all day. When she saw Clara, she stepped forward with careful steps. "Miss Clara," she said gently, "your father is on a call. I'm here to take you home." The woman gave Nia a quick, polite smile. "Hello, I'm Miss Denton." Clara introduced them. "Miss Denton, this is Nia. She's been helping me with math." Miss Denton's brow lifted a little, as if a question had entered her mind. She looked at the coins, the paper circles, and the finished problems. "I see," she said. "That is kind." Her voice was even, but there was something under it. Curiosity, maybe, and care for Clara's safety. As Clara slid into the car, Miss Denton turned to Nia with a small, formal nod. "May I ask," she said, "are you a tutor?" Nia felt her heartbeat step up. "I'm a student," she answered. "I help kids at my school sometimes. I just showed Clara a few things." Miss Denton's lips pressed gently together. "I appreciate your help," she said. "Miss Clara's time and well-being are important. I will speak with Mr. Hale about the best arrangement." The words were not unkind, but they sat like a weight between them. Nia blinked and nodded. "Of course," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "We just meet here in the open at the library." Miss Denton thanked her and guided the car door closed with care, as if closing a glass case around something precious. On the bus ride home, Nia looked out the window and replayed the moment. She did not feel angry. She felt small, like she had been measured by a ruler she did not know about. She reminded herself that Miss Denton didn't know her. People are careful when they do not know. Still, a little cloud had passed over her tiny sun. Home brought warm, light and simple smells, rice steaming, onions softening in a pan. Nia's mother stood in the kitchen with her apron on, one shoe off and one shoe on, counting coins for the laundry machine and stirring at the same time. "Hey, Star," she said when she saw Nia. "How was the library?" Nia washed her hands and told the story while slicing carrots. She told it carefully, just the facts, with the funny part about the decimal bubbles around Muffin and the not-so-funny part about Miss Denton. Her mother listened, nodded, and then touched Nia's shoulder. "You did good," she said, "and you stayed respectful. That is strength." Her mother smiled and added, "People protect what they love. It's not about you. Keep doing your good work. And if they want something formal, we can sign a letter." Nia's little brother, Malik, burst through the kitchen like a small rocket, waving a reading log. "I read 3 chapters," he said. Nia clapped for him and then sat with him at the table to listen while he read 1 page out loud, sounding out the longer words and pausing proudly when he got them right. After dinner, Nia washed dishes and checked her homework, then set aside a half-hour to sketch ideas for a weekend study club, a sign-in sheet, a circle of labels, whole parts equal. Pieces, a list of safe rules. We are kind. We try. We ask. We share. She did not know how to start it yet, but she liked to see the idea on paper. It felt like planting a seed. The next day, the library felt a little different. A new sign stood near the entrance. Updated hours. Study rooms require adult sign-in. A friendly guard Nia had seen many times, Mr. Patel, sat at a small desk by the glass doors. He waved. "Hello, Nia," he said. "New rule from the city. If you are meeting as tutor and student, we need a parent approval on file." His tone was gentle. "It's about safety." Nia's stomach dipped. "We sit in the open at a table," she said, pointing to their spot by the window. "No room." Mr. Patel nodded. "I know," he said. "You are always respectful. Still, I need a note from a parent or guardian for both of you. Just a simple okay with a signature and a phone number. Until then, you can sit in the children's area within sight of staff, but we must keep it short." Clara arrived. Right then, eyes wide at the new sign. She listened and nodded. "I can ask my dad. she said, already pulling out her phone. He can sign anything. She made a quick call and spoke in a soft voice. Dad? The library needs a note. Yes, it's just permission. Mr. Patel can explain. Okay. Thank you. She passed the phone to Mr. Patel, who explained the rule with the same gentle tone. When the call ended, Mr. Patel smiled. He'll bring a note after work, he said. For today, you can sit over there, 20 minutes only. He pointed to a small table near the children's desk where a librarian was stamping returns. Thank you, Nia said with true relief. The world still had kind corners. They worked quickly. Nia showed Clara how to turn a word problem into a small picture. Draw the ribbon, she said. Draw the pieces. Label them. Clara did. And the numbers made sense. They used sticky notes to cover extra information and focus only on the needed parts. When their 20 minutes ended, Mr. Patel held up 2 fingers and smiled as if to say, Good job. Nia and Clara cleaned up and promised to return after the note was signed. That evening, Raymond Hale himself walked into the library with a short, simple paper in his hand. He looked around, found Mr. Patel, and introduced himself with a quiet humility that surprised some people nearby. I'm here to file permission for my daughter's study time, he said. The note was not fancy. It had a phone number and a line that said, I approve Clara's study sessions at the library, with Nia. Mr. Patel nodded, added it to a small folder, and thanked him. Raymond looked toward the tables as if he wanted to say hello, but Nia and Clara had already left. He stood for a moment, reading the sign about whole, parts equal pieces on a wall display, then left with a thoughtful face. On Thursday, Clara arrived with a blue flyer in her backpack. She pulled it out like a secret treasure. Will you come to family learning night at my school? She asked. It's on Friday evening. Visitors are welcome. There will be projects, and snacks, and the makerspace will be open. The flyer showed drawings of bridges, shapes, and colorful charts. There's a section where we can show how we learned something, Clara said, cheeks warm with hope. I want to show how you taught me fractions. She hesitated. Please? The question sat between them with a soft glow. Nia wanted to say yes right away, but a small knot formed in her stomach. She had never been to Clara's school. She had passed it on the bus. Tall buildings, wide green lawns, banners with bold letters. The students wore clean uniforms and carried new backpacks that matched. Nia imagined stepping into that space with her old shoes and a backpack covered in pen drawings. Would she look out of place? Would people ask questions like Ms. Denton did? She took a breath and tried to see the problem like a word story. Who is in it? What do they have? What do they need? I would like to come, Nia said slowly. If visitors are welcome. Clara nodded fast. They are. It says it right here. She pointed to a line on the flyer. Families and community, members welcome. Nia smiled. Okay, she said, and felt the knot loosen a little. I will come. I'll bring my coins and circles. Clara clapped her hands quietly, joy shining but still respectful in the library's hush. That night, Nia showed the flyer to her mother at the kitchen table. Her mother read it twice, then looked at Nia and smiled with proud eyes. They said community, she said. We are community. She chatted. The gym was bright and busy, with colorful posters and small models on every table. Nia stepped inside and felt a quick beat in her chest like a small drum. She held her shoebox close and looked for Clara. A tower of paper cups rose near the middle of the room, and next to it, a wide bridge made of rolled paper stretched between 2 chairs. A sign said, Test the load, in neat letters. Clara stood beside it, waving when she saw Nia. Her face was full of excitement and a little bit of nerves, the good kind that makes you stand taller. You came, Clara said, almost bouncing. I'm so happy. She took the shoebox and helped Nia set it on the table. I told my teacher you might show the coins in circles. She said it would be great for the younger kids, too. Nia smiled, smoothing the tablecloth with her hand. We can make a small corner, she said, a little station where people try one idea. She opened the box and placed the coin pouch, paper circles, string, and cards in a neat line. She put the top card where it could be seen. Math is a story. Whole, parts, equal pieces. A teacher in a bright scarf walked over with a kind smile. You must be Nia, she said. I'm Miss Gupta. I teach math and help run the makerspace. Clara told me all about your coins and circles. I love practical tools. She glanced at the shoebox and clapped once, softly. Beautiful kit, she said. Would you be willing to guide a few students as they come by? Nia nodded. Of course. Ms. Gupta rested a hand on Clara's shoulder. Remember our goal, she said. We want families to see that ideas can be simple and strong. Then she moved on to greet another group at the next table. People began to drift past their station. A small boy with a superhero t-shirt stopped, eyes wide, at the coins. Is this money? He whispered. Nia smiled. Yes, and it helps us learn. She lined up 10 dimes. If $1 is a whole, what is 1 dime? The boy picked up a dime like it was a tiny moon. 1 out of 10? Nia nodded. 1/10, she said, writing 110 on a sticky note and placing it under the dime. The boy's mother leaned in, watching with interest. Can I try? The boy asked. He lined up 5 dimes and looked up. That's half? He guessed. Yes, Nia said, and his mother's face lit with quiet pride. Clara moved to the bridge and showed a pair of students how the paper tubes were taped into triangles. Triangles are strong, she explained. They don't change shape easily. We learned ratios by counting how many short sticks to long sticks we needed to keep the pattern. She handed out a handful of pennies to act as weights. We add them one by one, she said, and see how much the bridge can carry before it bends. The students clapped in time with each penny added, their laughter soft but bright. A few minutes later, Nia looked up and saw a familiar figure at the gym entrance. Raymond Hale stood just inside, holding his phone loosely in one hand, not using it. He wore a simple dark sweater instead of a suit, and he looked like any other parent, curious and a little tired after a long day. Ms. Denton stood beside him, her tablet tucked under her arm for once. They both paused to take in the room, the soft roar of learning rolling around them like warm wind. Clara spotted her father and waved. He lifted a hand back, his mouth tipping into a smile. He walked slowly through the rows of tables, stopping for a moment at a display of tiny cars, then moving on. He came to the paper bridge and listened while Clara explained how the triangles worked. He looked at her carefully, the way you look, at a person who is becoming someone new right in front of you. Then his eyes moved to Nia's corner. He noticed the shoebox, the coins, the paper circles, the neat cards with simple words. Ms. Denton whispered something to him, and he nodded, then stepped closer to Nia's table. He watched without speaking, hands lightly in his pockets, as Nia helped a grandmother and her grandson match decimals to fractions. 0.25 is 1/4, Nia said, placing a quarter below the number, because 4 quarters make a whole dollar. The grandmother repeated the idea softly, as if tasting it. 4 quarters make a whole. She smiled at her grandson. We can practice at home with the change jar. Nia gave them a small card with the 3 questions printed at the top. This can help, she said. Start with the story, then the numbers. When the grandmother and boy moved on, Raymond stepped to the table and nodded in greeting. Good evening, he said. This is wonderful. Nia straightened without meaning to, feeling a little flutter. Hello, she said. I'm glad you came. She found it strange that her voice sounded steady. Ms. Denton was beside him, her eyes scanning the table, the coins, the calm faces of the people who had just learned something. "I'm impressed by how clear this is," Raymond said, touching a paper circle lightly, as if it might fly away. Simple, but not simple-minded. He looked at the 3 questions card. What is the whole? How many parts? Are they equal? He read each line like it contained a small bell. Then he glanced at Nia's phone, which sat screen up with a plain blue practice screen. "Is this your work?" he asked. "Clara said something about a page you built." Nia unlocked the phone and opened her little practice app. It showed a fraction and 3 decimal choices. A small check mark appeared when you chose the right one. "It's basic," she said, a bit shy. "I made it on the library computers. The code is not fancy, but it works for me and a few kids at school. I want to make a better version with sound and a small story mode." Raymond leaned in. Ms. Denton did too. "May I?" he asked, and Nia nodded. He tapped a choice and smiled when the checkmark popped up. "Even this little signal is encouraging," he said. "It says, 'Keep going.'" A parent who had been listening nearby spoke up, hesitant but polite. "Do you tutor?" The question wasn't cold, just careful. "My son needs help, and I saw how you explained that dime thing. But, are you a student?" Nia felt the familiar small knot start, but she met the parent's eyes. "I am a student," she said. "I sometimes help kids at my school and at the library. I don't charge. I just like to share what I know. I'm also trying to start a weekend study circle for younger students with an adult present," Ms. Denton added in a soft voice that surprised even herself. "We've filed a permission note with the library. They've been very responsible about where and how they meet." The parent nodded, reassured by the balanced answers. "Thank you," they said. "I'll ask the librarian about the Saturday group." Clara called out from the bridge table. "We're testing." A small crowd gathered as she and 2 younger students slowly added pennies to a little basket in the middle of the paper bridge. Nia joined them with her coins. "Let's try equal steps," she suggested. 5 pennies at a time. With each group of 5, Clara read the total and explained what ratio of short sticks to long sticks they used in the pattern. "We tried 2 short to 1 long across," she said, pointing to the braid of tubes. "It made stronger triangles." When the bridge finally dipped, the crowd gave a happy "ooh" sound, like a shared breath. Clara bowed playfully. "Thank you for watching. Math is fun when you can touch it." Raymond laughed softly, and it was a warm sound. He looked down at his daughter with pride that reached his eyes and stayed there. He turned back to Nia. "You helped her find this voice," he said. "I can hear it." Nia shook her head, but kindly. "The voice was there," she said. "We just made the path simple." Ms. Gupta arrived again, holding a cup of tea. "Nia, would you like to see the makerspace?" she asked. "You might enjoy the small tools section." Nia's eyes brightened. "Yes, please." Ms. Gupta led them, Nia, Clara, and after a short look at each other, Raymond and Ms. Denton as well, down a hall to a room filled with light wood tables and bins of craft supplies. There were glue guns resting on little metal stands, stacks of popsicle sticks, small rulers, markers, and a corner with hand tools under a clear cover. Signs on the wall read, "Safety first," "Ask before you cut," and "Clean as you." "Go!" Nia ran her fingers lightly over a set of triangles cut from cardboard. "These would make good templates," she said to herself. Ms. Gupta heard her and smiled. "We use them to show how shapes share strength," she said. "Would you like to build a small truss?" Nia hesitated, then nodded. Ms. Gupta handed her a handful of sticks and a small bottle of wood glue. "Try a simple pattern," she said, "and tell us what you're thinking as you go." Nia began to arrange the sticks. 3 in a row to make a long base, then a series of triangles, resting on top, their points touching. "This is like a song," she said softly. "Strong, repeat, strong, repeat." She glued them gently, hands steady. "When you repeat a strong shape, you get a strong line. The ratio of the small triangle side to the big base matters. If the small sides are too long or too short, the pattern wobbles." Clara watched, eyes wide with respect. "It's beautiful," she said. "Math art." Nia laughed. "Yes, math art." Raymond took out a small notebook, just a plain one from his pocket, and wrote something down. Ms. Denton did not open her tablet. She watched Nia's hands, the way she placed each stick and explained each choice. After a few minutes, the glue had set enough to lift the tiny truss. Ms. Gupta placed it across 2 blocks and gently set a small bag of beans in the middle. The structure stayed firm. "Good," Ms. Gupta said, pleased. "Very good." Another teacher wandered in and recognized the truss. "Do I see a young engineer?" he asked in a light tone. "I'm Mr. Alvarez. I run the coding club." He turned to Nia. "Clara says you built a practice page on a—" Saturday morning came with a light sky and cool air. Nia woke early and cleaned the small living room with quick, careful hands. She wiped the table, lined up 2 cups, and checked the button on her cardigan again. Her mother swept the floor and opened the window a little to let in fresh air. They moved quietly, but both of them felt a new kind of energy, like a gentle drum in the room. Today, they would meet with Clara's father. It was not a big party or a formal event. It was a simple talk face-to-face. At 10 o'clock, Nia's phone buzzed. A short message appeared. "Good morning. This is Raymond. I'm downstairs." Nia looked at her mother. Her mother nodded with a steady smile. "We will meet him in the lobby," she said. "Neutral, place, calm light." Nia slipped her shoebox under the table and grabbed her small notebook. They walked down the stairs together. The lobby had a long window and 2 benches. A plant leaned toward the sun. Raymond stood when they entered. He wore a plain sweater and simple shoes. No cameras, no crowd. Ms. Denton was with him, holding a folder, but she, too, looked relaxed, almost like a friend visiting from work. Raymond smiled and reached out a hand. "Thank you for seeing me," he said to Nia's mother first. "I appreciate your time." Nia's mother shook his hand, and then Nia's. "Welcome," she said. "We are glad to talk." They sat on the bench. For a moment, there was a soft hush. Outside, a bus sighed and rolled away. Raymond took a breath. "I want to start with thanks," he said. "You helped Clara find confidence. You gave her tools that she understands. I'm grateful." He turned to Nia. "And I want to apologize for any moment when our caution felt like doubt in you. Protecting Clara is important, but we should have shown more trust once we saw your careful way." Nia listened, surprised by the gentle honesty. She nodded. "Thank you," she said calmly. "We always sit in the open, and we follow the rules. That matters to me." Ms. Denton opened the folder and slid out a simple paper. "We saved the permission note at the library," she said. "We also made a small list of safety steps we can share with Mr. Patel and the staff if you like." Nia's mother leaned forward to read. The list was clear and simple. Sign in with names and numbers, adult present, visible tables, set start, and end times, no photos of faces without permission, and a plan if a child needed to use the restroom. Ask staff, never send anyone alone. "This is good," Nia's mother said. "It matches what we do already." Raymond put away his phone and rested his hands on his knees. "I came today to ask how we can support your work in a way that respects your choices," he said. "Not to take over, not to make a show, just to help build what you already started." He paused, choosing each word with care. Here is what I'm thinking. First, I would like to set up a scholarship for Nia so she can choose any local high school program that fits her goals, public magnet, STEM track, or similar. We can cover fees, materials, and a transit pass. Second, I would like to donate new laptops to the library's computer lab, working with the library director so everything follows their rules. Third, I would like to provide a small monthly budget for your weekend study circle, snacks, supplies, and a small stipend for the adult who supervises. No strings. We can place the funds with the library so it's clean and simple. Nia's mother looked at Nia first, not Raymond. What do you think? She asked softly. Nia's eyes were wide, but her voice stayed steady. I like that the library holds the money, she said. I like that we keep it simple. I want the study circle to be free for everyone. Raymond nodded. Free, he agreed. And steady. Ms. Denton added, we could invite Ms. Gupta or Mr. Alvarez from the school to mentor the circle on a rotating schedule. They are trained and the kids know them. I can help with a calendar if you want. Nia smiled. Yes, she said. Ms. Gupta has a calm way. Mr. Alvarez understands coding. That would be helpful. Nia's mother asked her own questions, clear, fair questions. How will we keep Nia's schoolwork first, she said. How will we make sure the circle ends on time and does not grow too big too fast? Raymond answered with care. School. First, he said. Maybe the circle meets 2 Saturdays a month at the start. 90 minutes only. We can cap attendance and use a sign-up list at the desk. Ms. Denton showed a simple sign-up sheet. We can print this and leave it with Mr. Patel, she said. Names, age, a contact, and a pickup person. When the slots are filled, they are filled. They spoke for 40 minutes. The talk was slow and kind. Each person listened fully and took notes. When they finished, Nia's mother stood and gave a small, genuine smile. We can try, she said. We will walk step by step. If anything feels wrong, we will say so. If it works, we will keep going. Raymond nodded. Agreed, he said. He turned to Nia. Thank you for showing me that simple tools and steady voices can change a day. Nia held his gaze and answered with the same calm strength. Thank you for trusting the library, the teachers, and the plan. The next week moved like a gentle wheel turning. Raymond met with the library director in a small conference room that smelled like paper and lemon cleaner. They talked about laptop models, warranties, and the best way to set up accounts. We don't want a big sign with a name, Raymond said. We want machines that work and last. The director smiled. That is the best sign, she said. Boxes arrived at the library 2 days later, labeled with neat tags. Mr. Patel wheeled them to the tech corner. A staff member checked each laptop, attached small stickers with the library logo, and logged them in. There were no speeches. A line of students simply found more seats and more screens that did not freeze. The room felt lighter. On Friday, Ms. Gupta and Mr. Alvarez met Nia and Clara at the library to plan the first Saturday circle. They spread materials on the table, paper circles, coins, rulers, popsicle sticks, small glue bottles, index cards with the 3 questions, and a new sign-in sheet printed by Ms. Denton. We will start with a welcome, Ms. Gupta said. Then, a short demo. Then small stations. Mr. Alvarez pointed to Nia. You lead the welcome, he said. Your calm sets the tone. Nia took a small breath and nodded. Saturday morning, 12 kids and 6 parents arrived for the first circle. Mr. Patel checked names at the door. The tables had clear labels, coins and decimals, pizza fractions, paper bridge, number line, and story. Problems. A small basket near the sign-in held bananas and small crackers with a little note. Please enjoy, 1 per person first, then seconds. Nia stood at the front with Clara by her side. Ms. Gupta stood just behind them. Welcome, Nia said, her voice low and steady. "We are here to learn with simple tools. We will help each other. We will be kind. We will try. We will ask. We will share." She held up the first card. "Math is a story. Whole, parts, equal pieces." The room took a breath together. It felt like a soft yes. They moved into stations. At coins and decimals, Clara lined up dimes and wrote 110 on bright, sticky notes. A boy who said he did not like numbers smiled when he found that 5 dimes made 0.5 and 1/2 at the same time. At pizza fractions, a girl drew a circle, cut it into 8 slices, and then shaded 3 slices to show 3/8. Her grandmother clapped softly. "I can see it," the grandmother said. "I can finally see it." At the paper bridge table, Naya guided 2 older students, Jamal and Lena, to help younger kids build simple triangle patterns with sticks and glue. "Place, press, wait," Nia coached. "Strong, repeat." Jamal made a small sign that said, "Drying zone," and Lena set a timer so no one rushed. At number line, Mr. Alvarez taped a long string to the table and helped kids mark 0, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1 with tiny flags. "Find where your fraction lives," he said with a smile. At story problems, Ms. Gupta showed how to circle keywords and draw small pictures before touching the numbers. Parents sat nearby and watched, asking questions when it felt right. "How can we practice at home?" a father asked. Nia handed him a simple sheet. "Use coins. Use pizza slices. Use a ruler to measure a book. Ask, what is the whole? How? Many parts? Are they equal?" A mother asked, "What if my child gets stuck and wants to stop?" Ms. Gupta answered softly, "Stop is okay. Rest is part of learning. Try again later with a smaller piece." The 90 minutes went by smoothly. At the end, Nia called everyone back together. "Let's share one small win," she said. Hands went up. "I learned that 0.25 is a quarter," a child said. "I learned that triangles are strong. I learned to draw the story first." The room felt full but calm, like a lake in the morning. Nia thanked everyone. Mr. Patel checked the pickup list. Ms. Denton, who had watched quietly from a corner, smiled and put a checkmark next to "clean up plan" on her small list. Then everyone helped put the room back just as they found it. In the weeks that followed, Clara's school sent home a small note. Her math quiz scores had risen. The numbers were not just higher. The teacher wrote, "Clara explains her steps in clear words." Clara folded the note into a small square and gave it to Nia at the library. "This is yours too," she said, laughing a little. "I'm keeping it," Nia said, "but it's yours." At the same time, another change began, one that Nia did not see right away. In a glass-walled room high above the city, Raymond sat with his team. They were planning summer programs. "We will revise our internship plan," he said. "We will open slots for public school students, pay them fairly, and match each student with a steady mentor. We will cover bus." Spring came slow and bright, the kind of weather that made the library windows look like clean water. A year had passed since the first study circle, and the room had changed in small, steady ways. The laptops hummed quietly without freezing. The corner by the window had a new shelf with clear bins labeled coins, paper circles, sticks, rulers, and card ideas. Above the shelf, a small wooden sign hung with careful letters. "Grandma Ruth's Learning Corner. Leave every place better than you found it." Nia had asked for that name to honor the grandmother who once told her to treat knowledge like a light. The library director agreed right away, and Mr. Patel hung the sign with careful hands, stepping down from a small ladder like someone finishing a painting. Nia herself looked a little taller, but the biggest change was inside. She had learned to speak to a group the way she spoke to one child, slow, clear, and warm. On Saturday mornings, she still opened her shoebox and lined up the same simple tools. The star sticker from Malik was still stuck inside the lid, a little. Faded now. She smiled each time she saw it. Her practice page had grown into a simple website that worked on the library computers and on old phones. Mr. Alvarez showed her how to add a gentle voice that said, "Good thinking," after a correct answer and "try a smaller piece" when someone was stuck. There were no bright flashing colors, no loud music, just calm. Clara seemed lighter too. Her math grades rose, yes, but the bigger change was her voice. She started a peer explainers group at her school, where students learned to teach each other with short, kind steps. She even made small cards that matched Naya's. Ask, "What is the whole? How many parts? Are they equal?" Once a month, she brought extra cards to the library so families could take them home. "We ran out again," she would say with a laugh, and Naya would nod and print more. Raymond Hale kept his promises without noise. The scholarship for Naya was handled through the school office, so there were no cameras, only papers. The laptops had become a normal part of the library, used by many people for many things. The small monthly budget for the study circle arrived on time, every time, and it lived in a simple folder at the front desk. Ms. Denton made schedules in a neat, easy style and taught Nia how to run sign-ups smoothly. She had softened in a way. That happens when people decide to trust with their full heart. Sometimes she arrived early to wipe tables or refill the small snack basket. "Details help people feel safe," she would say, and Nia would nod gratefully. In Raymond's office, a different rhythm began. The internship program opened to public school students with paid slots, bus passes, and real mentors. There were no giant banners or loud speeches. Instead, there were weekly check-ins with one question written on a whiteboard. "What helped you this week?" Students answered with small truths. "My mentor showed me how to break a task into steps. I had a quiet desk. The bus pass meant I arrived on time. Someone asked me, 'What do you think?' and waited." Raymond listened, wrote notes, and adjusted the plan each month. He met with the library director and teachers to learn one more truth. Steady is better than shiny. At home, Nia's family moved through the year like a well-kept clock. Malik kept reading and shouted the long words now with pride. He joined the Saturday Circle once, not as a student, but as a sticker helper, placing small stars on finished cards. Nia's mother worked fewer evening shifts after receiving a small community grant to train as a classroom aide. "I like the morning sunshine in the school," she told Nia, "and I like the sound of pencils." When she was free on Saturdays, she sat at a side table at the library and greeted families with a soft, "Welcome, we are glad you're here." The circle itself grew, but not too fast. They kept the rule of 2 sessions a month, 90 minutes each, with a cap on the list. Older students took turns as helpers, wearing simple name tags that said, "Guide." Jamal and Lena trained 2 more teens in the place, press, wait rhythm for the paper bridges. The story problem station developed a new step. Kids drew tiny comics of each problem before solving it. A boy who had been afraid of numbers discovered he liked drawing small, funny characters who shared equally. He began to solve problems faster once he could see them laugh on paper. One afternoon, Ms. Gupta invited Nia to speak at a small community event hosted at Clara's school. "Nothing big," she promised. "No stage, just a circle of chairs and a question. How do we make learning simple and strong?" Nia agreed, even though her hands shook a little when she held the invitation. On the day of the event, she wore her neat cardigan and carried the shoebox. Raymond came with Clara and sat in the back, quiet as a library book. Ms. Denton took notes. Nia looked around the circle, parents, teachers, students, a bus driver, a local shop owner, and felt the same soft yes she felt on the first Saturday. She spoke in simple words. "I learned that math is a story," she said. "I learned that people are brave when they say, 'I don't get it yet.' I learned that it helps to start with the whole, then find the parts, and check if they are equal. I learned that a calm voice can travel far. Tools don't have to be fancy. They have to be clear. She held up a coin, a circle, and a stick. She showed the small website on an old phone. She spoke about safety, names on a list, adults present, visible tables, no faces in photos without permission. She finished with one more idea. Fairness is not a gift. It is a plan. We can make that plan together. The room was quiet for a beat, then filled with the soft sound of hands clapping. Not loud, but full. After the event, a parent came up with a teenage daughter. "My child wants to help the younger ones," the parent said. Nia smiled and handed the girl a guide card with the 3 questions on the back. "Start here," she said. Mr. Alvarez gave Nia a small thumb drive. "A backup of your site," he said with a wink. "Backups make dreams harder to lose." Ms. Gupta squeezed Nia's shoulder. "You did well," she said. "You left space between your words so people could walk inside." Summer brought longer days and new faces at the library. A family who had recently moved to the city walked in one Saturday, shy and hopeful. Their son clung to his mother's sleeve. He liked to count cars, she explained softly, but he did not like school. Nia sat with him at the number line table and placed tiny flags quietly, one by one, without asking any questions at first. After a while, the boy began to lift the flags himself. "This is where 0.5 lives," he whispered. Nia smiled. "Yes," she said. "You found it." His mother's eyes grew warm, and she pressed her hand over her heart for a second, the universal sign for thank you. There were small bumps, too, because life is honest. One Saturday, the snack basket was late and some children were hungry and cranky. Nia paused the session for 5 minutes, led a quick stretch, and asked Ms. Denton to move the stations closer to the front desk where the staff kept 2 spare baskets. They adjusted calmly. Another day, the printers broke and Nia could not make. More cards. Jamal turned the problem into a station. Make your own card. Kids copied the 3 questions in their handwriting and decorated the edges. The cards looked different, but the meaning stayed the same. Nia learned that problems were just stories asking for a new ending. In late summer, a short note arrived from the library board. They planned a thanks night for volunteers and community helpers. Nia wanted to hide, but her mother laughed gently. "We will go," she said. "You can sit in the back if you want." The evening was simple. Few cookies, a jug of lemonade, folded chairs, a stack of certificates printed on thick paper. The director called names in a kind voice. Mr. Patel received a round of claps for gentle safety. Ms. Gupta was thanked for calm teaching. Mr. Alvarez for quiet coding help. Then the director called Nia's name and added something that made her eyes wet. "For making learning feel like a deep breath," she said. Nia stood, accepted the paper, and said thank you. Her mother hugged her with a proud smile. Clara passed her a tiny tissue, then whispered, "You did this for me first." Raymond followed the rule he had made for himself. Do the work, not the show. But after the little ceremony, he asked the director if he could say one brief thing. 30 seconds, he promised. He spoke simply. "A year ago, my daughter met a teacher who did not call herself a teacher," he said. "Coins, circles, a calm voice. It changed her days. I learned something too. The best gifts do not look like gifts. They look like fairness and time." He nodded to the room and sat down. It was enough. As the new school year began, Nia entered a selective STEM track with a full scholarship. The bus pass in her pocket felt like a key. On the first day, she sat in a lab with clean tables and bright lights, and she felt a small echo of the makerspace at family learning night. She wrote her 3 questions at the top of her notebook. Whole, parts, equal pieces. She added a fourth line in smaller letters. Share what you know. Clara started 7th grade with a binder full of neat notes and a plan to grow peer explainers. She picked 2 days a month to meet in a corner of the library at her school, and she used Nia's cards with permission. She sent Nia pictures of hands holding coins and circles. No faces, just hands and tools. We had 5 new kids today, one message read. They liked the pizza slices best. Nia sent back a little star emoji and a line, proud of you. One quiet afternoon, a woman who had taken her GED classes at the library years ago came back with a